Hello everyone and welcome to another stream. So thank you everybody for joining me. Today we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So all over the place. Now if you follow me on Twitch and you follow my schedule, you know that today is .NET Day. So basically what I'm going to do is I have kind of a set schedule. And I might change those times around a little bit actually. I'm kind of thinking about that right now. But right now, Mondays are going to be .NET stuff. Blazor, Azure, C#, all kinds of .NET stuff. Wednesdays are going to be Golang, Python, Linux type stuff. So I'm going to be streaming Monday, Wednesdays, and sometimes Fridays. And the Friday streams will be open for anything. That's where I'll probably play with like Raspberry Pis, or continue on something else that I've done earlier in the week. So I've been doing the hot car project on the Linux side, so I kind of need a project on the Windows side. What I've decided to do is I'm going to create a project called Turkey Time, and it's something that I've used for years and years and years whenever our family has a get-together. We have a big family, and what we do is I put up this little Azure app, and everybody goes to it from their phone or their computer, and they add in what kind of food they're going to bring to the event. So say it's mom's birthday party, I'll go in and put in, I'm bringing hamburgers and steaks. Somebody else would be like, I'm bringing potato salad, whatever. And we just put it all into this app. There's no authentication, there's no signups or accounts or anything like that. And I've written it in about 10 different languages probably, because I use it as kind of a first step towards learning something new. And it's a good way to do it. It gets a lot of use. My family gives me very honest feedback. So it works out pretty good. So what I'm going to do is we're going to build Turkey Time for Blazor with Azure Functions, which is my new favorite thing. I absolutely love Azure Functions. They're fun and they're neat. And I'm actually writing an article about this right now. So what I'm going to do is just follow the steps in the article that's going to be published on allhandsontech.com this week. So if you're following me here on Twitch, and you retweet the top tweet on my Twitter, I will find that here really quick. Don't you love that mirror effect? There we go. So if you go to the top tweet on my Twitter, there's a tweet here. I'm giving away a Raspberry Pi 400. One of these right here. These are really, really, really cool. All you have to do is follow me on Twitch, which if you're watching this, you might already be following me on Twitch, and retweet this top tweet here. As you can see, it's been retweeted 188 times. So that kind of tells you where your odds are at right now, but you can retweet this as many times as you want. And I'm going to do a drawing here on my Twitch channel, and I'm going to give away one of these Raspberry Pi 400s. Be very cool. But today we're going to create, and I need to delete some stuff out of Azure really quick, so that might take a few minutes. I just built this thing earlier today, so what I need to do is delete it out of here so I can do it again. Sounds a little silly, doesn't it? Okay, let's save this. We'll get rid of that. We're just gonna delete this and start all over. And I will show you the existing Turkey Time application if this takes a long time. And I suppose I should bring up my chat. If I sound a little stuffed up, my allergies are going crazy. A lot of people are pulling seeds out of hay right now in my local area. I live near a lot of hay fields. They're pulling seeds out of it, so it is quite horrible to breathe if you have allergies. Okay. Check my Azure here. should be going away. If not, I might just create like a number 2 or something. Perfect. Okay, so I will show you the existing Turkey Time application. If I haven't deleted it. I may have deleted it. That would not surprise me. I generally delete it between events, and the reason I do that is because eventually spammers find it. They find these sites and they start adding crap to it. So yeah, it looks like my most recent version of it is deleted. So I'll just explain it instead. How's that? So basically all this is a listing of items, and they're food items. Now we have some folks in my family that are gluten-free, some folks that are vegetarians, so I have those as 2 Boolean values. So I have the name of the item that you're going to bring, which can be, you know, turkey, pasta salad, kale salad, whatever it is you're going to bring, and then the name of the person bringing it, you know, put in Jeremy, and then whether or not it's gluten-free or vegetarian. And that's a pretty simple data set, but we have it so it comes up and we bring that up in ascending order, and then somebody can just add on to that and add in their items or even edit their items. So it's a basic CRUD app. And that's what we're going to build over the next couple of weeks. We're going to build that, except we're going to use Blazor. The current version of this that I have is in ASP.NET. It's worked great for years. I've got another version that's in Golang and Vue that's pretty awesome. But this one is going to be with Azure Functions and Blazor because we want to do new cool stuff. So let me check my Azure here, the console. And it looks like it's still there. So we're just going to create a new one. And I'm going to call this Turkey Time 2. And we're just going to create an Azure Cosmos DB. Now here we can see all the different types. There's several different types of Cosmos DBs that you can create here. You can create an Azure table, Gremlin, which actually I have no idea what Gremlin is. But I do know what MongoDB is. I've got MongoDB, Cassandra. We're just going to do core SQL. And here I can select my subscription, resource group, streaming. I created this for all my streaming projects. And we'll call this Turkey Time 2. Now here you can select your location. And this of course depends on where you're located. How close do you want it? My events for Turkey Time are all here on the West Coast. They're all pretty local. So I'm just going to choose US West. Looks like only, oh, no, number 1 is available. Now here we go with capacity mode. This is something that's kind of interesting. And I explained it a little bit in the article. Here's the article that I keep referring to. Creating serverless websites with Blazor. I'm creating an article for allhandsontech.com. And I kind of go through and explain why you'd want an Azure function in the first place, right? The old days of, you know, we have a browser that goes to a web server, that goes to a database server. It's got ASP.NET, it's got all this overhead, it's got all this stuff going on. And what we're doing is setting up a browser, a little WebAssembly app here that just communicates with an Azure function and SQL from Cosmos DB. And I kind of show why that matters. It's a simpler process, it's smaller, scalable, it's faster, all of that good stuff. So we have all our different options here. I'm going to go with serverless, but here you can click learn more about capacity mode. Here's how to choose between provision, throughput, and serverless. The very, very fast explanation is if you have a big app with a lot of traffic, you'll want to do provision throughput. Stays up all the time. big flow. For this application, it's never going to get big. It's never going to scale. I know you should never say that about any application, but this one I've been doing for about 10 years and it's never really scaled. So family hasn't quadrupled in size overnight. So I'm going to use serverless. And this is workloads with intermittent or unpredictable traffic, low average to peak traffic ratio, run your database operation against your containers without provisioning capacity, things like that. Storage per container, 50 gig, that's way more than enough. So the quick and easy way is, if it's something big and real, go with provision throughput. Otherwise, serverless works just fine, which is what we're doing now. So we'll hit review and create. All right, and it was successful. Create. And now it's going to deploy our little Cosmos DB. Well, it's pretty little right now. This is the twiddle your thumbs portion of the process. And there we go. Cool, so now we can check it out. We'll go in here to our Cosmos DB. Turkey Time 1, as you can see, is online. That was the one I was using earlier today. This one looks like still in the creation process somewhat, because it says creating. So we'll sit here and twiddle our thumbs until it creates. Still deploying. You know, we get frustrated about things taking like a few minutes to deploy, but then you remember like creating an application even 10 years ago and what that was like, you know, provisioning all the databases and creating all the spaces and blah, blah, blah. 20 years ago, when I first started in this, it was hooking up machines and plugging in cables. Now we can see here, we can choose our platform, which I haven't done anything with Node.js or Python. I'm not a Xamarin or Java person, so I'll probably never do either of those two, but I do want to try it with Node.js and Python at some point. Right now we're doing .NET, and we'll create an items container. You can also do this by going to I'm not sure why that's taking so long and grayed out, but you can also go here and go add container. So over here on my left, we create a new database ID, which for me is going to be food items. That's what we're storing. We're just storing these items, which are little JSON snippets that show what kind of food you're bringing. Container ID. We're going to call this food items container. And the partition key here, we're going to do /ID, and that's just basically an index. So if you're thinking like the relational database world, this is your primary key, things like that. So we're just going to call that ID. And it's creating. And what we're going to do is add in some sample data into this to start with. So there we go. Looks like I have a to-do list here that was created. I don't need that. That's probably from when I clicked that button earlier. But we don't need it. Yes, Steve. Hello. JSON snippets and whatnots. JSON bobbies. All right, now I can find my little article here. So the next step is in our food items container here. We can check this out. We've got items, but we don't have any items. So we've got ID/ID. So where do we do it? New item. There we go. And so it automatically pre-populates with that ID. We'll make this an ID of 0. And then here's where you kind of create your data structure. And it's super easy. So for this one, name, Jeremy. Or no, name is going to be the name of the food that I'm bringing. A little confused there. So I'm going to bring hamburgers. And for this one, we'll say person, and the person will be Jeremy. Jeremy's bringing hamburgers. And then we'll say gluten-free, false. Oops, just put a comma after that. Vegetarian, not even a little bit. So we're going to say false. And there's our first item right here. And we can hit save. And then once we save, you can see that it generates some IDs, e-tags, all kinds of fun stuff. So in my article, I show a big pile. We're not going to type those in by hand. I'm just going to say new item. And I'm going to copy and paste from the article. We're just going to add all these in. I think I've got to do it one by one now that I think about it. So we'll do potato salad. Let's see, we'll bring some French onion soup. Oops. Now it's not letting me load a new item. There we go. Discard. Now we'll do French item, French onion soup. Bring in some hot dogs. And finally some strawberry shortcake. Perfect. Now let's see what our items look like now. Now we've got hamburgers, potato salad, French onion soup, hot dogs, and strawberry shortcake. This is perfect. So now we're going to create an Azure Function app that's going to interact with these things. That's going to be our mission of the day. If we can get this Azure Function app, and as you can see, I created this one earlier today. We're going to call this Turkey Time Function 2. And I already have Azure Functions here, but if you don't, you can search function and you'll see the Azure Functions template. And here's where I'll say this is Turkey Time Function 2. Just going to create that in repos. We're going to place the solution and project in the same directory. Hit create. Now here for this, I'm going to use .NET Core 3, the LTS version. And you can see there's a bunch of different functions you can create here. You can create an empty function. You can create one that goes off a service bus queue. All of these different functions, which are pretty cool. Even a Cosmos DB trigger. So you could put something that, does something with the data when you insert data to this database. There's all kinds of stuff we can do. What we're going to do is just a simple HTTP trigger. And what that does is every time an HTTP request comes into this function app, that'll be the trigger to start it up. So it acts just like an API, just like a REST API. And for our authorization level, we're going to select anonymous and create it. And we'll see this thing start to spin up here in a second. And here we go. And we have a sample function here that we can run. Let's just run it if it doesn't blow up and break on us. There we go. Now, as you can see, it gives you a URL here. Copy that. Paste this into a browser. Now you can pass in, it says this HTTP trigger executed successfully. Pass in a name in the query string. So I can say name Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy. This HTTP trigger, blah, blah, blah. We're not actually going to use this, but I just wanted to show how it works. This is the one that they give you by default. It accepts a get and a post. It's pretty cool, but we're not going to use it. So the first thing we need to do is install the Cosmos DB package. So you open your package manager console, and I'm just going to copy and paste so you don't have to watch me fumble through typing. Install package microsoft.azure.webjobs.extensions.cosmosdb. This will allow us to connect to our Cosmos DB that we're creating. And the first thing we'll want to do is create a model. So if we go back to this, it's pretty obvious what our model is going to look like, right? We're going to have these 5 properties right here. We're going to have an ID, it's an integer, a couple of strings, and a couple of bools. And in traditional C#.NET ways, we'll create a model, just a POCO that's going to represent this. So I'll add a folder. We'll call this models. And within that folder, I'm just going to create a regular old class. I'm going to call it food item. Property int ID. This is going to be our ID. This one is going to be a type of string, which will be our name. Another string for, what was it, person. And you might notice these are lowercase, which isn't great. Actually, I'm getting a warning here that says naming rule violation. They must start with uppercase characters. We're trying to match the JSON with this, and that's the only reason I'm not doing that. And you can use decorators and you can transform, but it's a little out of scope for just this basic application that we're putting together today. Public bool, what was it? Gluten-free. And vegetarian. Get set. Perfect. We need to make this public so we can access it. We can get rid of those. And now we have our model. And this just represents the data that's going to be going back and forth as we roll. So I'm going to create another function here. Or not, it's not really another function. I'm going to create another class that we're going to use as a function. So again, just a plain old class. Call it food item. And here's what food item is going to look like. First thing we want to do is put in our function name so the Azure Functions knows what the name is. And that will also be food item. Now this is where it gets a little weird. It starts to look a little weird when we put this together, but it'll all make sense when it's done. Public static async. We're going to create a task with an iAction result. I can't type for squat today. Yes, we do want to import that. And then we'll do run. And within run, we want to do our HTTP trigger. Authorization level anonymous, which we actually established earlier, but that's fine. And then our list of methods. Right now, we're only going to allow get. That's it. We're not going to put any routes or in here or anything yet. So by default, we'll be able to go /API/food item and see this with a get as soon as we send it a get. And we want it to return, or we want to pass an HTTP request. Yeah, I just can't type today. Rec. Now, if you remember the old one here that we were looking at, the default function, it looks a little bit different, right? It uses an HTTP trigger with the authorization level. The default one allows get and post, and then you have route equals null, which you can specify route. It's just a string, so you can make any kind of custom routes you might want to build there. Then it does a request and iLogger, and that's it. So it logs this information. If it pulls in a query, it'll display, or if it pulls in a name parameter, it will display that. If not, then it just spits out this string message. So ours is going to look a little bit different because we're using Cosmos DB. So here's where we will put that in. We'll do Cosmos DB. A lot of this stuff will auto-populate and ask for, but database name. Our database name was food items, I believe. Let me see if I can find. I gotta double check my information here. So, oh, Turkey Time 2 is the account. Data Explorer. So here we have food items container within food items. So this is what we'll put in here. Database name, food items. The next one will be the collection. Yeah, collection name, which will be our container, food items container. And next we need connection string. And that is going to be DB connection string, which we will create. And then that should be it for, let's see, database name code. Yeah, that should be it for our Cosmos DB portion here. And then we're going to return an IEnumerable. Enumerable of food item, which should exist, yes. But that's not really going to work because my model is a food item. So I'm going to have to refactor this. This class here, we're going to have to rename it. And I'll call this food item method or something. Just for now. There we go. That way we don't have a naming collision. And now you can see when I change this to food item, it says, do you want to import your model food item? Is that what you're talking about? And the answer is yes. This is what we're going to be spitting out from here. And we're going to call this food item set. And we'll do a little iLogger. We'll call it logger. And then that should be it. Should be the end of my run function here. Cannot resolve symbol logger. Okay, so I gotta go through all of these again and make sure, check it with my notes here, make sure everything is typed in properly. Because there is something that it does not like here. Cosmos DB, database name, collection name, string. And that is going to return the IEnumerable food item. What am I forgetting here? That is the question. So food item set. Food item. Modifier methods have a body, which this method will have a body. Still going to try to make this work here. iLogger, logger, and then we're going to say logger dot why do you keep doing that? Log information. Used. Trigger request. And then we'll return a new OK object result that is our food item set. And I'll find out here. There's DB, connection string. This enters here. That is one issue right there. There. So we have this connection here, string. Format this a little bit. And this should work. I'm not sure why this is breaking, but I'm sure it's something small. Let's see. Another one of those. Okay, now we're not really returning an await modifier, but let's see. HTTP trigger. That's what I'm doing wrong. I messed up this portion. Just a weird syntax error. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. Okay, so iLogger should work. There we go. Okay, now let's take a look at this and see what the heck we got going on. So basically this function name is food item method, and it's public static async task. So this is just a task that's created. Run will be called on an HTTP trigger with anonymous authentication. Oops. Separate that a little bit. And it's going to be, HTTP request is going to be passed in. Then in here we have our Cosmos DB set up. We say food items container, connection string setting of DB connection string. That's something that we need to set up next. So I'll go into my Azure portal here and click on keys, but I'm not going to show my keys live on stream. Actually, I will, because I'm just going to delete it anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Copy my primary connection string, and then we'll open up local settings.json and just add it in here. DB, I think I called it DB connection string. Whoops. It's not that. Copy this out of my keys. There we go. That's going to my endpoint with my keys, and that should be picked up here. So the next portion of it, I believe, is to just run it. Let's go back and look through, make sure I've got my model here. This looks like the model that I have on Azure. If I go back here to turkey time, where were we? Overview. Data Explorer. So far with food items and food items container, we should be able to bring up all of these now with this application. So we'll press play and pray. Perfect. Now it looks like we have two functions here because I forgot to delete that default one, but that's fine. We'll run that one just to see if it works. Function 1 works great. Name. But this is just a local, like a local loop function thing here. We want to reach out to that Cosmos DB and grab that. And I actually didn't want to name it food item method, but there we go. There's our list of food items. So now we're able to list them out straight from the Cosmos DB, and this is going to be the first step in our application. Let's do some renaming here because I don't like the function name to be food item method. Call this food items. All right. Now this is going to be a little bit of a short stream. I actually didn't think I would be able to put this together this quickly, but later this week, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more than the Monday and Wednesday stream this week. I think I'm going to do another one tomorrow. I'm going to test out a new time. It's probably going to be noon Pacific time. And we'll add on to this. But this is going to be the turkey time project. And we're just going to add in some methods tomorrow. We'll connect a Blazor app to it. And what I want to do is deploy a Blazor app to Azure Static Apps and have this Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Functions and just tie it all together. I think we can do it relatively short amount of time, and it's just a really, really lean and mean way to do this. That's the whole point of this, is just this lean and mean operation, right? This function, obviously, you know, as you're looking at it here, it's 32 lines of code, very, very small, very minimal, and the cost is also very minimal. So instead of provisioning a whole IaaS server with ASP.NET on it, making an ASP.NET application, connecting it into Cosmos DB or even like a SQL DB or something like that, that's just a whole lot of overhead for this little tiny application where we're adding in food items, right? So it's one of the reasons I'm so excited about Azure Functions in general and Blazor is the fact that you can build these really small, tiny, efficient little applications to do really small, tiny, efficient things. However, if for some reason my food items application is going to be used by the local Elks Lodge and there's going to be 200 people, we can scale it out, you know, or even 2,000 people. We could just scale it out super easy with Azure. So that's one of the reasons I'm really excited about this. It's kind of a small, tiny little app, tiny little stuff. You see how easy this is. And we already have an API going here. So we'll add some stuff to it tomorrow. We'll add in some more CRUD operations, and we'll publish this thing to Azure. We'll build another Blazor application. We'll connect to it with that. We'll do some Blazor CRUD like we were doing last week, and we'll build out this application. It'll be really cool. And then of course I'm going to put it all up on GitHub. I'll remove all my secrets out of it and put it up on GitHub. So follow me, github.com/Jeremy Morgan, and you'll be able to find all that source there. And we'll just kind of build this project as we go, and maybe we'll add some features if I get some feedback. One thing I've noticed about all of my streams is that more people watch them after the fact. That goes with YouTube. It's actually kind of slow on YouTube. Twitch, all of that. It seems like that's what tells me I'm probably not streaming at the right time, right? Because I'll stream something like right now. It looks like all together about 34 people watching from all these different areas. But in a few days, you know, I'll have hundreds of views or even thousands of views on this. So that's one of my indications that I'm not streaming at the right time, because people are coming at different times to watch these things later. But what I was getting to is we're gonna build a project as we go, and we're gonna build this out. And people have been emailing me like crazy, and private messaging me on Twitter, and I want you to continue to do that so that you can give me some feedback and say, let's add this to this application, or let's add you know, Facebook authentication to it or something. And we'll do some cool stuff with this application. You might even actually use this application. Somebody might fork it and do something else really cool with it. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm also hoping someday to make kind of more of a useful application with this, that I don't have to create an app and deploy it every time, which is what I've been doing for 10 years now. Is I create a small app from a GitHub repo, change a few things, you know, enter mom's birthday or Sam's graduation or whatever, and then publish it out. I want to be able to create instances within a big app. So we'll have a big app and be able to create instances and say, this is a graduation party, this is the theme we want. Let's build that online. Let's build it here on the stream together and make something cool, and then I'll make it free and available for everybody, because we're just learning and playing around. So if you're interested in getting into Blazor and Azure Functions, then stick around, follow me. We're going to do a lot more with this. We're going to get this thing dialed in and great. And yeah, be sure to follow me. Also, retweet that tweet on my Twitter. Giving one of these away. I'm almost halfway there. I think I have 220 followers right now. So as soon as I hit 500, We'll do a drawing, give one of these away, maybe 2. Don't know. But make sure and follow me on Twitch also, because Twitch is where I'm going to be doing the majority of this work. I'm not always going to stream to multiple platforms like I am today. All of my streams will always be on Twitch, and sometimes I will stream out to YouTube or Twitter or something like that. So make sure and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jeremy Morgan. Retweet that tweet so I can send you a Raspberry Pi 400. Really cool computer. It's like this little console-based thing. It reminds me of the old like Commodore 64s and things like that were plug into a TV. And I plugged this into my TV. That was the very first thing I did with this, is I just plugged that HDMI cable into my TV and started playing around. It's a cool little device. Some of the Fridays, we're going to do things on that device. I've got some ideas. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for following me. All of you who are watching me and following me and giving me feedback, I've noticed most of it is through email and through Twitter IMs. I really appreciate it, even the critical hard stuff. So yeah, I'm going to come back tomorrow. So this week will be Monday, Wednesday, sometimes Friday. I think I'll do a Tuesday and Thursday too. Why not? Let's get this thing put together and get it built. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you very soon.